In the heart of Uganda lies a region known as Teso, a land of rolling plains, shimmering lakes, and vibrant communities. The Iteso people, who lived here for generations, are a proud and resilient tribe, deeply connected to the rhythm of the land and the wisdom of their ancestors. Among the Iteso, there's a clan called the Ipasama, known for its strength and traditions. It was into this clan that Ate was born, a name that will come to be spoken with reverence and awe, for his story is one of mystery, prophecy, and the unseen forces that shape our world. Ate grew up in the village of Makodes, nestled among the acacia trees and surrounded by fields where cattle grazed lazily under the African sun. The village was like any other in Teso, bustling with life as the women pounded millet, the men tended to the cattle, and the children ran freely under the watchful eyes of the elders. Ate, a young man of strong build and quiet demeanor, was well liked by the villagers. He was known for his wisdom beyond the years, a man of few words but deep thoughts. Ate's life was about to take a turn that no one could have foreseen. One fateful day, as he went about his usual task, a strange wind began to blow. It started as a gentle breeze, but soon it grew in intensity, howling through the trees and stirring the dust into whirling spirals. The sky darkened, and the villagers felt a sense of unease. This was no ordinary wind. It carried with it a force that seemed almost alive. As the wind swept through Makodes, it reached Ate, and in a moment that seemed both brief and eternal, it lifted him off his feet and carried him away. The villagers watched in shock as Ate disappeared into the swirling dust. His figure vanished into the distance. They called out to him, running in all directions, but it was as if the wind had swallowed him whole. For days, the village searched for him, combing the fields and forests, but Ate was nowhere to be found. The wind had taken him, and with him, it seemed a piece of the village spirit. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. The villagers began to lose hope. Ate's family mourned his loss, and the village moved on. Though a shadow lingered over Makodes, life resumed its normal pace, but there was an unspoken sadness, a feeling that something important had been lost. The seasons changed, and a full year passed since the fateful day. Then, as suddenly as he had vanished, Ate returned. He was first seen near a cowshed on the outskirts of the village. It was an early morning, and the air was cool with a promise of a new day. A herdsman, leading his cattle to the fields, spotted a figure sitting quietly on a three-legged stool. As he drew closer, the herdsman froze in disbelief. It was Ate, but he was changed. His hair had grown long and wild, cascading over his shoulders in a tangled locks. His beard was thick and unkempt, and his eyes, once warm and familiar, now held a distant, far-away look. In his right hand, he held a spear, its tip resting gently on the ground. The herdsman ran back to the village shouting for the others. Soon, a crowd had gathered around Ate, their faces a mix of joy, fear, and wonder. They could hardly believe their eyes. Ate, who had been lost to the wind, had returned, but he was not the same man that they knew. He sat silently, his gaze fixed on something only he could see, as if he had journeyed to a place beyond their understanding. When the villagers dared to approach, Ate finally spoke. His voice was calm but carried away the silence in the crowd. "Do not stare at me," he said, his eyes scanning the faces before him. "For I am the one." There was no doubt in his tone, no hesitation. The villagers, still in shock, listened intently, sensing that Ate had returned with a purpose. Ate then made a strange request. He asked the villagers to build him a sopa, a small hut where he could live. The request seemed odd, but no one questioned it. There was something in Ate's demeanor, in the way he carried himself, that compelled them to obey. The men of the village gathered the materials to set to work building their sopa with care and reverence. As they worked, they whispered among themselves, wondering what had happened to Ate during the year he had been gone. What has he seen? Where had he been? But Ate offered no explanations, only sitting quietly, watching as his new home took shape. Once the esopa was complete, Ate moved in, and it was there that he began to reveal the visions he had seen. The villagers came to him, seeking guidance, and Ate spoke to them of the things that had yet to come. His prophecies were both alarming and profound. He foresaw that if the Teso people went to war, they would face great suffering and loss. He warned them to avoid conflict, to seek peace, even when it seemed difficult. His words struck fear in the hearts of the villagers, for they had always been a people of strength and valor, unafraid of defeat, their land and honor. But Ate's warnings were not to be taken lightly, and his reputation as a seer began to spread. However, it was not just war that Ate saw in his visions. One day, as he sat outside his hut, staring into the distance, Ate began to speak of something that will change the course of history for the Iteso people. "Oh, look, he exclaimed, his eyes wide open with a vision that only he could see. The villagers, drawn by the urgency in his voice, gathered around him, eager to hear what he had to say. "They are here. They are coming through the water," he continued, pointing towards the east. "Don't touch. Very bad people are coming. White people. They are dressed like butterflies." The villagers were puzzled by his words. White people dressed like butterflies? They could not imagine what Ate was describing, but the fear in his voice was unmistakable. Ate saw something in the future that the others could not comprehend, something that filled him with dread. The image of the people dressed like butterflies stayed with the villagers, a strange and haunting vision that none of them could fully understand. As time went on, Ate's prophecies continued to shape the lives of the Iteso people. His warnings about the war led to greater emphasis on peace and diplomacy, and his vision of the white people, though not fully understood, prepared the villagers for the changes that were to come. And indeed, not long ago, Ate's vision, the white people arrived in Teso land. They came not as friends, but as conquerors, bringing with them new ways, new rules, and new challenges that will test the resilience of the Iteso people. Ate's legacy grew as his prophecy came to pass. The small hut, the Esopa, became a place of pilgrimage for those seeking wisdom and guidance. People from other villages and clans will come to Makodes to hear Ate's words, to sit in the presence of a man who had seen the future and warned his people of what was to come. The Iteso people began to speak of Ate not just as a seer, but as a man touched by the Spirit, a bridge between the worlds of the living and the world beyond. In the years that followed, the Iteso people faced many challenges, but they carried with them the wisdom of Ate. His warning about the white people proved true, as the arrival of the colonizers brought great upheaval to the land. Yet, because of the Ate's prophecy, the Iteso were not completely unprepared. They had been warned, and they knew to be cautious, to protect their way of life as best as they could. Ate lived out his days in the Esopa, respected and revered by all who knew him. His story was passed down through generations, becoming a part of the cultural fabric of the Iteso people. The lessons he impacted about the dangers of war, the importance of foresight, and the need to listen to the wisdom of those who had seen beyond the ordinary remained with the people long after Ate himself had passed on. Today, the name Ate is still spoken with respect in the Teso land, for the word Ate means to see. His story is a reminder of the power of the unseen, of the mysteries that lie beyond our understanding, and the importance of heeding the words of those who had glimpsed the future. Ate's life may have begun like any other, but it became a tale of wonder and prophecy, a story that continues to inspire and guide the Iteso people to this day.